Good morning. Welcome to Readings in Philippine History virtual class lecture. We are now on Module 15, Week 15. Under the topic Social, Political, Economic, and Cultural Issues in Philippine History. But for this day's topic, we have a special topic called the Filipino-American Relations. At the end of this module, you are expected to discuss the following: Filipino-American relations, understand the significance of international and cultural relations, identify the important events of the Filipino-American relations. I am recommending that you read in full the module and reading materials posted in our LMS, because this gives you the full details of how the Filipino-American relations was established. And for today, we shall be talking about the history of the Filipino-American relations. Yes, on our special topic, Filipino-American relations. Throughout the years, Philippines and the United States of America sustained the relationship, including authentic political, financial, and social perspectives. The Philippines battled one next to the other with America amid the Spanish-American War, against the Japanese amid Second World War, in the Korean and Vietnam Wars, and the most recent US drove global war on terrorism. So the reading materials would start with the Spanish-American War until the global war on terrorism, focusing on the security of the Filipinos by the American support. Well, since 1946 to date, the US and the Philippines keep up a current understanding entitled Mutual Defense Treaty. The US-Philippine Military Bases Agreement of 1947 was ended, however, in 1991, and in the end, the US powers were hauled out of the Philippines. So based on this, it's an on and off sweet relations between the US and the Philippines. From that point onward, the two nations kept up a relaxed cooperation, meaning not too tight, not too close, but on a relaxed cooperation. And after the September 11 fear-based oppressor assault in the US, the US-Philippines security collusion was indeed revived by the global war on terrorism. So the Philippines was a primary ASEAN nation to straightforwardly bolster the American drove crusade against psychological warfare. And you know what? The pull out of the Philippine compassionate, unexpected in Iraq last July 2004 caused pressure in US-Philippine relations. So from the relaxed status, it caused a pressure in US-Philippine relations when the Philippines pulled out its men in Iraq last July 2004. So it is of shared enthusiasm for the two nations to investigate the security challenges, keeping in mind the end goal to figure out what duty the Philippines can make and what US ought to reasonably anticipate. But in 2003, George Bush had this to say with regards to the Philippines and US security relations. He said that our soldiers fought and died together in places like Bataan and Corregidor. And on this foundation of common sacrifice, America and the Philippines built an alliance that remains strong, an alliance that is essential to the peace of the Pacific. So these are the assuring words of George W. Bush that he wants to keep the US and the Philippine security relations, which was based on the foundation sacrificed by the Americans and the Filipinos way back during the Bataan and Corregidor era. So US-Philippine relations depend on shared history. That's what actually is US President George Bush was saying on May 20, 2003. And normal qualities, a guarantee to flexibility and majority rules system and energetic military ties. US holds a unique association with the Philippines because of the accompanying common guard settlements. The way that is one of its best financial specialists and suppliers of advancement help. And the US is home to more than 2 million Filipinos and Filipino-Americans. So just because of this and because of the shared history and because there are actually millions of Filipinos who are based in the US, there is no way that there would really be a separation between the Philippines and the US in terms of its relations. And this was actually framed and expressed by the then US President George Bush. So, well, it began from the Spanish-American War, where Filipinos and Americans battled one next to the other against Spanish powers to free the Philippines from Spanish control. So, America was on our side then for the Philippines to be freed from the Spanish colonization. And, with the wiping out of Spain, the Philippines was surrendered to the US under the terms of the Treaty of Paris. And even before the American power could be completely settled, occasions took sensational turns that further characterized the character of the Philippines-US relationship, which brought the following: the foundation of the Commonwealth government, rather than which whom the president then was Manuel Quezon, battling the Japanese powers amid the Second World War, and the manufacturing of vital partnership amid the Cold War under the terms of the two-sided Philippine-US 1947 Military Bases Agreement, or MBA, and the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty. And not long enough after the Philippine Senate ended the MBA, or the Military Bases Agreement, in 1991, the Philippine-American connections took a downturn, finishing just about the time of US military nearness. So it's really an on and off. It's cold and warm relationship because of the situation. And thereby, the confirmation of the VFA, or the Visiting Forces Agreement, with the US in 1999 implied a bounce back in security ties between the two nations. So, um, in 1991, because the Philippine Senate decided to end military bases agreements, it was a downturn that it is as if that there was a cold relationship between the US and the Philippines. But there was a bounce back when the VFA was confirmed in 1999. So it was after the September 11th fear-based assaults that the Philippine-U.S. security collusion was resuscitated. And looking back at the history, it's not really it's not a continuous warm relationship, but it's an on and off Philippine-U.S. relationship because of the decisions made by the Philippines with regards to the military basis agreement. But there was a redemption in 1999 when the VFA was confirmed. And then here it comes, and after the September 11 fear-based oppressive assaults, that the Philippine security collusion was resuscitated. The Philippines' dedication as a security accomplice to the US and subsequently to the global war on terrorism was put to a test again when the Philippine government pulled out its troops from Iraq, bringing about the failure of the US. So that was the time when the government held out the support to US because the government held out our troops from Iraq. So, but in 2004, the re-election of George Bush and the assignment of the Philippines as seat of the Anti-Terrorism Task Force amid the November 2004 Asia-Pacific Economic Conference, or APEC, the Philippine-U.S. security relationship faces vital difficulties and different happenings. So again, the U.S. and the Philippines relations was put to a test during those time. However, again, President Bush softened his heart and told President Arroyo that let us keep our friendship stronger and affirming. And the then U.S. ambassador to the Philippines, Francis Richardone, expressed confidence that the re-election of President Bush would lead to a better relations between the two countries. And he added that President Bush's re-election assured continued cooperation between the Philippines and the U.S. on global issues and other concerns. So it was actually Bush that reaffirms to keep the friendship stronger, affirming through the then President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. But today, based on the module that is posted in the LMS, U.S. and the Philippines was verifiably been solid and has been depicted as a special relationship. The U.S. is reliably positioned as one of the Philippines' most loved countries. And let's see how this clip would affirm of the solid U.S. and the Philippines relationship, and they called it a special relationship. Let us see. This clip was actually this was posted in 2000. I mean, just recently. But let us take note of the occasions that happened during the term of President Duterte. And let's see and you assess if the Philippines and the United States relations today would really be as solid as it was stated based on the module and based on um, the 2004 statement by Bush. And there are several presidents that were elected, and also likewise in the Philippines. And of course, there are varying issues that would really confirm if the Philippines and the United States relations today would really be as solid as before. And let's see, based on this video, Can you hear it, class?
Dressing troops on the US aircraft carrier USS Carl Vinson. The US was confident that following the 2014 signing of the Enhanced Defense
Yes po.
Thank
Filipino
you.
government, the US would have greater access to bases, help train and supply the Philippine Navy, and make Manila an integral part of the US pivot to Asia. But the US Philippine relationship has always been rocky. It began with occupation. In 1898, the US took over the Philippines from Spain following the Spanish American War. Plans in the 1930s for independence were shelved after the Japanese invasion and the Second World War. While the Philippines won independence, the US military maintained the right to more than a dozen bases. In 1951, a mutual defense treaty was signed, and during the Vietnam War, bases in the Philippines like Subic Bay were major US staging areas. By the 1980s, there were up to 15,000 uniformed US personnel and a large support network. But the relationship has faced challenges, including many protests of the possible presence of nuclear weapons, concerns about the behavior of US forces, and residual resentment to colonialism. All that led Manila to reject a new treaty to lease bases, and they were closed in 1992. In 1999, the Visiting Forces Agreement led to military exercises like we've been seeing this week. Then there was the rise of competing claims in the South China Sea, an increased presence of the US military, and so-called freedom of navigation exercises aimed at China that have unnerved some in Manila, especially as the US has never made it 100% clear whether it would defend the Philippines over an island dispute with any neighbor, including China. Decision from the International Tribunal on the South China Sea only increased those tensions. And as Rodrigo Duterte was elected president of the Philippines, he made it clear he wants to get along with both the US and China, welcomes Chinese investment.
Would have or would try to open dialogues with China, maybe not only the issue of the South China Sea, but I think all issues. And that's a major step forward.
In his first 100 days in office, President Duterte has used some colourful language to create some distance between Manila and Washington. What's not clear yet is whether this distance will translate into policies that could reshape the whole alliance structure of the Asia Pacific region. David King, CCTV, Washington.
Okay. So, as I've said, there was really a question as how solid is the U.S. Philippines relations today, based on what's happening, and let's see how would you assess the status based on different occasions that happened. And just recently in February, there was this news that the Philippines ended the visiting forces agreement, which allows the U.S. military to operate within the Philippines and grants access to the South China Sea. So that was in February that the Philippines, or the president of the Philippines, President Rodrigo Duterte, decided to end the visiting forces agreement. And there were actually issues or news about the U.S. denied the U.S. visa application of Senator De La Rosa. But and again, during those season, that there was this stance of the U.S. that U.S. wants the release of the detained Senator De Lima. And just recently, there was this issue that the President Duterte grants absolute pardon to U.S. soldier Pemberton, which has caused well rage on the part of other communities like the LGBT community, for example. So, however, there was this news that I've read that President Duterte has since walked back on this decision in June, ordering the extension of the VFA for up to 1 year, citing the shifting geopolitics in the region as well as the coronavirus pandemic. So the turn of events would really made you think on what is really the status of the Philippines U.S. Relations today, and it's really up to us if you could say if it's really solid at this point in time. And if you will notice, based on the recent developments or news, it's really parang there's really something about after the president Duterte ended the VFA agreement in February, and then there was this counter issue that the U.S. denied U.S. visa application of Senator De La Rosa, and then again, U.S. expressed their desires that they want the release of Senator De Lima from imprisonment, and surprisingly, the president's actions recently were really as if trying to summon the attention of the US by giving the absolute pardon to US soldier Pemberton. And here in June, the president is extending the VFA for up to 1 year and setting reasons that because of the coronavirus pandemic. Yeah, and with all these developments, let's see if and rest hopefully I do not know if um, how and where this will go based on the actions done by the president of the Philippines just recently. Okay, so I think that's it for today. So I am encouraging everyone to please read your LMS and do some further reading on some supplementary reading materials posted in the LMS because this is quite interesting because what makes this interesting also is that there are millions of Filipinos that US is home for them, and of course they're also trying to figure out what's with US and the Philippines recently. So I think that's it. So that's all for today, and I encourage everyone again to please continuously read your materials and then answer your quizzes and then your major exams. If you do not have any question, then let's end this meeting for today.